Welcome to Monroe MustHangs. I'm your host, David Spiegel, and today we're continuing our National Athletic Training Month series with athletic trainer Raven Reivers from the Monroe Mustangs Athletic Department. Once again, we get a chance to know a little bit more about some of our athletic trainers during this month as we continue this series. And I think it's a valuable thing to learn for our, all of our student athletes and our audience, because the athletic trainers do such a wonderful job with our students and with our staff too. I've popped in every once in a while to get some help with any sort of random medical questions. So they're a really good bunch, and I hope everyone learns a little bit more about them and why we appreciate our trainers so much. Before I begin and swing over to my interview with Raven, I want to talk about what the significance of this day is. And this episode is airing on March 11th, which, if anybody has been paying attention to this show over the last couple of months, we've talked about March 11th many times. March 11th last year, of course, March 11th is my birthday, yay. But the significance of March 11th last year in 2020 was it's the day that our seasons were officially ended. We brought all the athletes, the active student athletes, into the Monroe Athletic Complex for a meeting, and I think a lot of them knew what was coming that day. I know we had a baseball game that was scheduled that was already canceled that day. They had just played the first home game of the season the day before, and it was an exciting win, and unfortunately it was the only home game of our spring season last year. But we brought all the spring sport athletes into the Monroe Athletic Complex, and our athletic director, Lou Melendez, spoke with everybody. Obviously not an easy thing to do when you tell a bunch of young student athletes that their season is ending. I think a lot of them, I really have to give it up to our athletes, because a lot of them handled everything with so much maturity. It's, something that I know our department was very proud of, that, obviously they're going to be upset. There were a lot of tears shed. It was not just the student athletes, but the staff and coaches as well. And it was a very hard day. It was a very hard day. Like I said, it was my birthday, so I remember it very well. Obviously one I'd like to, if I could cancel that one, I would have loved to, but it is what it is. And, now we're looking at the 1 year mark of that day, and we are, as this airs, 5 days away from our season opener for the spring sports. We have softball opening up at home and baseball going on the road, and it's going to be a jam-packed 2 months. We're getting ready, and we have men's soccer and track and field in New Rochelle are going to be starting up as well very shortly, and the Monroe Express baseball, softball, and men's soccer teams are going to be active as well in the next few weeks, and we're very excited. Like I said, our athletic trainers have been working night and day, really hard, making sure that our athletes are following protocols and that we understand the protocols and that we're doing everything we can to be ready to do this season as best as possible. And I'm very excited on my end to get back to normalcy a little bit. Obviously, things are going to look different. We've said it in the last episode, and unfortunately, we have to stress it a lot, that fans will not be allowed at our home games. It's an unfortunate but necessary measure that we have to take for this season. We're going to be doing our best. I'm going to be doing my best to provide as much coverage as possible to make sure that everyone is updated accordingly and getting all the updates that you need in-game, post-game, pre-game, everything. I'm gonna do my best with that. But we're very, very excited to go. It's crazy to think about the last year and everything we've dealt with, from shutting down to thinking, we'll be back in a few weeks, to we'll be back in a few months, to fall season, we'll be ready for it, to not having a fall season, to hopefully winter season or an abbreviated one, to not having winter season, and now the spring season comes around and it's a little bit delayed. We're a little behind schedule, but as of right now, it's happening. It is happening. And I'm sure those of you listening, they're listening and watching this for a reason, and you're probably just as excited as we are to get things going. So, be on the lookout for all the updates coming up, schedules and game day and video and all our live stats, everything that's going to be going on. It's going to be as normal as we can make it and as good as we can make it. And, we hope everyone enjoys what we're going to be doing this season. And I look forward to our teams doing well and our teams being successful as they always are. going back to the postseason, it's going to be a challenge having to travel wherever we have to go to. But I know the baseball team wants to get back to the JUCO World Series, and they want to go to Colorado. And the men's soccer team wants to get back to the national championship and defend its title. And the track and field teams want to go back to the national championships as they always are and make an impact. And softball has been in the playoffs the last couple of years they've played, going down to South Carolina, and they want to make sure that they get there again, and they want to win down there and move forward. So, in terms of New Rochelle, the goals are pretty clear. And the Monroe Express, every year it's an improvement. Softball over there is going to get its second season finally, and we're excited to see what's going on there. All those teams have they've been competitive, and you've had a couple of years now to, work on the programs, get better, and I'm excited to see what's going on down there too, because that program is building every year, and it's only a matter of time before they become as nationally known as the Monroe Mustangs are. So very exciting things going on in Monroe College athletics. Very excited to get things moving forward, but it's time to get back on track today, get to our interview with Raevens Reivers, one of our athletic trainers, and I hope you enjoy. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome athletic trainer for the Monroe Mustangs, Raevens Reivers.
Hi, how's it going? Thanks for having me.
Ray, thanks for jumping on with me this week. Of course, this is part of our series for National Athletic Training Month, so we want to make sure that we're introducing all of our athletic trainers to those who don't know you guys, to make sure that they get to know you a little better and learn why we appreciate everything that you guys do. Everybody in New Rochelle and the Bronx. So first, I want to start with getting to know you a little better. So what's your background? How did you end up finding athletic training and making a career out of it?
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually started over at Dominican College. I was a student athlete there. I played basketball. I was a runner on the side, and athletic training was something that I didn't know too much about, but I definitely got to learn as I went through the years over there. I also grew up in a family where everyone was in the medical field, but also, loved to be around the sports as well. And I felt like that was something that I could, kind of grow up in and stuff like that. So it's something that that definitely grew on me, for sure.
At what point did you feel like this is definitely what you wanted to do and what you were passionate about?
Yeah, definitely. Going through my clinical rotations, being a student intern for the profession, I definitely got to see my impact on the athletes, and I'll never forget. I had a high school cross country meet back in my student days, and just seeing the impact that I was leaving there. This was a state meet back in high school, and these kids were, giving it their all, and people were collapsing. This was, closer to toward the end of the springtime, and you've seen a lot of cases of a lot of heat illnesses and just pure exhaustion, and just to be able to take care of or attend to one athlete, and then to be able to go right to the next athlete was, was a little hectic, but it was something that I felt that I was ready for.
Someone in my profession, I've seen many a cross country race, and I've seen that at the end of the race too, how many kids are, how many students are really pushing themselves towards the end, and they do tend to collapse. It's not anything life threatening or anything, but they really work themselves past their limits. And obviously it's very helpful to have athletic trainers like you there to make sure that they're okay and recovering and rehydrating. So it's not a simple job, of course, not a simple job at all. But obviously you did your intern rounds, and you're being a student athletic trainer. How did you find your way to Monroe?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was at Dominican. I was at Dominican, and Jessica Rayford, she was one of the teachers there, and before I came to Monroe, I was the head trainer over at Bronxville High School in was at Bronxville, New York, and you know, I actually had opportunities to actually go to the state police, but that didn't work out. Found out Jess was looking for a trainer, and yeah, she actually just took me in, and it was a great offer, and everything started there.
I just kind of remember you showing up in the athletic training room one day and nobody telling me who you were. So I know it was kind of like a quiet hire in terms of at least me finding out about it. But I remember you just jumping on board and getting right involved with our teams. And it's funny how everyone seems to have a story of just teaching them and then finding their way here. So so far with Monroe, you've been here for a couple of years. What are some of the better experiences you've had so far?
Yeah, I'd say the best is being able to travel with the sports teams. I think that's a great experience. It's new to them, and it was new to me back then, but it's definitely experience. It's fun to go state to state, or far anywhere far and wide, and it's great to watch them compete and see what they go through, and kind of taking care of them along the way.
One thing I noticed with a lot of our athletic trainers, especially, is that a lot of you have built up really strong relationships with our student athletes, on a personal level, and teams on their own as you're traveling with them and you're with them for every practice. So, what's it like, having strong individual personal relationships with athletes, and does it help you do your job a little better?
It absolutely does. I even think it's part of the job. It's an important aspect to the job. Helps the athlete feel a little more comfortable with their trainer, and so they're able to talk to you about things that they might not be comfortable talking to you about. Yeah, just being able to connect with them on that level just makes the job easier. Having to have that relationship with him or her, and makes it easier for when you're trying to help them out. It just makes the job very much smoother.
I definitely get that. Now, when this episode airs, it's going to be March 11th, which is going to mark the 1-year anniversary of the day that everything shut down for our athletic department. And of course, shortly after, everywhere around the country just started to shut down, especially in terms of athletics at the college level and professional level for a while too. What are some of the challenges that you have experienced over the last year dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic and our athletes trying to return to action over the last 6 or 7 months, and obviously getting back in action the next week or so?
Right. Definitely a challenge. I mean, we did what we could, with athletes at home, and we tried to just try to incorporate what we did just through a virtual sense, and it helped for a bit. Definitely helped a few. Yeah, it was definitely tough. I mean, we were closed, and it was definitely a challenge for us. Some of us actually helped out during the epicenter down there in the city. We got to see some of the patients down there, and it was an experience for sure. Yeah, like I said, virtual experience for the kids, and try to stay in touch with them for as long as we could, and we did, and we got through. Definitely got through.
We're definitely seeing a light at the end of the tunnel at this point. Obviously, we have to stay diligent and keep following the protocols, but like I said, within the next week, we're going to be back in action for real, and it's very exciting. So, I think obviously a lot of credit goes to you guys keeping everyone, making sure the protocols were followed and making sure all of our teams are staying diligent and taking it seriously. And I think, from everything I've seen and heard, that's exactly what's been going on. So obviously we wouldn't be getting to this point if it wasn't for all that. Um, Now, we're obviously going to be, like I just said, going through a lot of different protocols during the season. We have a very packed 2 months to get in a lot of games, and we're adding a new element to what we haven't done in the last few weeks when teams have been practicing, and that's having other teams on the field that we don't know where they've been, what they've been doing. Obviously, they're hopefully trying to do the same things we are, but you can never tell. So what are some of the other challenges you see going forward, and what are some things you think are going to look different than what we're used to?
Yeah, I mean, it's a total new ball game. We're still trying to incorporate, the social distancing as far as, some of the staff there, and practicing, those safe measures for as long as we can. Yeah, it's definitely harder. I'd say definitely harder to just to remind. It's definitely it's a new job now. And it's just something that we just have to continue to keep on. To stay on, and as long as everyone's on the same page with that, it just makes the job easier. You know.
And one thing on a little bit more positive note that you guys have been doing over the last few months is that the sports medicine staff at Monroe has started up an Instagram page where you guys have been providing a lot of information to student athletes and alumni, and whoever really follows the page can, get access to whatever you guys are doing. I know you've been very involved in that on basically a weekly basis. So, what's that been like for you guys, and trying to do a whole new way of kind of coaching up our athletes?
Yeah, it's definitely an exciting way to keep in touch, and educate, and give out a knowledge to the fans, to the students. And yeah, I love it. Actually, we just started, taking over the page. We're having each trainer just take over maybe once a week, and giving our input for it. And it's fun. It's definitely a fun way to get looked at, and to keep promoting what we're putting out there and stuff. So yeah.
I talked about it with some of the trainers at the beginning of the pandemic as a way to, stay in touch with other athletes, and make sure that, you're giving them some tips that, they won't necessarily see if they're not coming into the office and just popping in whenever they feel like. So obviously you guys have really run with it, and I'm really happy seeing what you guys do, especially since I'm the one who does most of our social media. So it's been really cool to see everything you guys are doing. It's a whole different perspective on what we can do with social media. So, people at home, if you're listening to this, it's at Monroe Sports Med. If you want to follow that Instagram page, see Raeven and all the other trainers doing different workouts and different stretches and exercises, and some weekly longer workouts on Zoom and wherever else. So definitely check that out. It's worth following. Raeven, thank you for joining me today. I appreciate your time, getting to know you a little better. For those of you watching and listening, make sure that when you see our trainers in action, make sure you give them a distance thank you for everything they do. Obviously follow the protocols, but we really appreciate everything that you guys are doing, everything that you're going to be doing over the next couple of months. It's obviously going to be a challenge. So again, on behalf of the rest of the athletic staff, and I'm sure the students as well, again, we really appreciate what you guys are doing. And obviously, I wish you to stay safe during all this. I'll be seeing you very often during all this, but of course, stay safe, and take care of yourself as well as, you take care of our athletes.
David, thank you. It was a pleasure. Real pleasure for me. Thanks for having me. Great experience.
Thank you again. And for those at home, thanks for hanging with us this week. Make sure you listen to our past episodes on YouTube, IGTV, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts. Make sure you subscribe, and make sure if you want to send a message to our athletic trainers, just comment wherever you can. Let us know. We'll be happy to pass the message along to anybody. But thanks again, everybody. Stay safe, and we'll see you in the next video. Monroe MustHangs is sponsored by the Monroe Mustang Sideline Store, powered by our apparel partners at BSN Sports. Whether you're looking for t-shirts, hats, jackets, or accessories, the Monroe Mustang Sideline Store has it all. Gear up with the new Monroe Mustangs logo and make it your own with hundreds of customizable options, including sport-specific designs. For the month of March, you can take 20% off all orders of $80 or more using the promo code MARCH21. That's MARCH21. Visit MonroeCollegeMustangs.com/shop to look your best as you cheer on the Mustangs.